That'll be fine.
Angela's.
Can't think of anything else.
Good evening. Welcome to the January meeting 2022 of the Pyrenees Shire Council. Due to COVID regulations, we will be holding this meeting via Zoom. Streaming. As meeting chair, I give my consent for this open council meeting to be streamed live, recorded and published online. Anyone who is invited to read out a question or a presentation will be recorded, and their voice image comment will form part of the live stream or recording. Chair and the CEO have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of the live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. The stream will stop prior to the closed section of the meeting and will recommence for the conclusion of the meeting. The public is able to view this live stream via the website at www.pyrenees.vic.gov.au. Should technical issues prevent continuation of the stream, a recording will be made available on our website. Opening prayer. Heavenly Father, we ask you to give your blessings to this council, to rest and prosper its deliberations to the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of the Pyrenees Shire. Amen. We acknowledge the people past and present of the Wadawurrung, Dja Dja Wurrung, Eastern Mara and Watchabollock tribe, whose lands form the Pyrenees Shire. We pay our respects to the customs, traditions and stewardship of the land by the elders and the people of these tribes, whose land we meet today. Apologies. I have an apology from Pam Weller for this evening's meeting. Any other apologies? No. Any notice of disclosure or interest by councillors or officers? None. Thank you. Confirmation of previous minutes. Meeting minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 14th of December 2021 and the closed meeting of council held on 14th of December 2021, as previously circulated to councillors. Moved by Councillor Keogh, seconded by Councillor Ferrari. All those in favour? Carried. Any business arising from those minutes? No business arising. There is no public participation at this evening's meeting. No questions or presentations have been received. Items for noting. Item 10. Are there any questions, councillors, for any of the items for noting? No questions. We'll move on. Bear with me. Okay, can I have a mover for the items for noting?
Happy to move, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Vance, seconded. Councillor Ferrari. All those in favour? Carried. That's better. Item 13, Corporate and Community Services. Ms. Bramwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek Council's determination as to whether an increase should be sought on the rate cap for the 2022-23 financial year. The report details the matters that need to be considered before making a decision to apply for a rate cap. But the annual rate cap for 2022-23 has recently been announced at 1.75%. This remains below the annual expenditure increases forecast for the financial year and adds to Council's long-term financial sustainability risk. Should Council choose to make an application to the Essential Services Commission for a higher rate cap for the next financial year, notification of its intention should be made to the Commission by the 31st of January 2022. And the Office's recommendation is that Council, having considered relevant reasons for raising additional revenue to meet the service and asset needs of the community, the requirements set by the Essential Services Commission and other issues raised in the report, do not make application to the Essential Services Commission for a higher rate cap for the 2022-23 financial year. Thank you.
Councillors, we have a officer recommendation that we do not make application to the Essential Service. Can I have a mover? Moved, Councillor Keogh. Seconder, Councillor Clark. Any discussion, councillors? Councillor Clark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I think given that we are in a COVID recovery stage, I think it's quite appropriate that the council cuts its cloth as the community is in this next financial year in the context. And I say that in a really clear light that through my work at MAV, we expect that the 1.75% will be somewhere around 50% of the actual cost increase that council is likely to experience in this next 12 months. We expect that we will see our wages move by around about 2.5%, but effectively the materials and services that council purchases or delivers on behalf of the community are likely to move by more like 4 or 5%, we believe, in this next financial year. So I think we say that in the reality of accepting that, you know, we are in a recovery stage, but certainly as council does its budget in this year, we're going to have some fairly serious work to do to look at, I think, areas where we may have to make some trims and maybe make some adjustments to service in that context. The other bit I think that's worth noting, Mr. Mayor, is that the rate cap has now kept rates at around 2% since it started in 2016. But the levies that we collect on behalf of the state, which are part of your rate notice, have been going up quite significantly different to that. So the Fire Services levy has, since its introduction, gone up by around 6% every year. And the landfill levy, which again is a contribution we make to the state out of your rate income, has been going up by close to 12. So a fair bit of your increase in your rates over the last few years have been monies that we effectively have to collect on behalf of the state and pass through to them. That's all from me, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Any other councillors? I find it very interesting that we as ratepayers and we as councils bear the brunt of limitations on our collectible for funding, where other areas of government simply put prices up that we then have to collect for them. It smacks of some deceit in some areas. All those in favour? Passed. Thank you very much, councillors. 13.1.2, Community Engagement Policy. Ms Bramwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek council approval of seeking community input into the review of council's community engagement policy and development of a new community engagement strategy. During the development of the current engagement policy in late 2020, early 21, it was acknowledged that the community engagement policy adopted in February 2021 was likely to need further revision in accordance with lessons learned through the 2021 deliberative engagement process used for the creation of the council plan and the community vision. And a community engagement strategy may be needed to provide more robust operational guidance to officers on when, how, and with whom engagement should be undertaken. It's proposed that this document review and development activity will be undertaken in consultation with our community via the Engagement Hub portal available on Council's website and direct contact where needed. Some feedback already received in 2021 will be utilised in the process. So council officers are now seeking council's endorsement of the community engagement process needed to ensure processes are developed that meet the needs and expectations of our community. And it's the officer's recommendation that council approves community engagement activity to review the 2021 community engagement policy and develop a community engagement strategy in collaboration with its community members. Thank you.
Councillors, Councillor Clark moved, seconded Councillor Ferrari. Councillor Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No comments on that. I think this is very logical. We had to put this plan together with a little bit more haste than we normally would. Just a question to Ms. Bramwell. There isn't a timeline on when this would come back to council. Is it appropriate that we do have a timeline as part of the recommendation?
Yeah, we're anticipating that it should be back to you by April.
Thank you.
Councillor Ferrari?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We constantly get asked at all levels from the community about our engagement, and I have to say it's been difficult through the pandemic times without trying to sound like making excuses. The engagement's something we're continually working on, and we discuss it continually at council briefings and meetings, and we discuss it with the community. We discuss it at community meetings, and we try and establish the best medium to engage with the community and how, where, and how much to engage. And that's not always easy. It rolls off the tongue easy, but it's not always easy. But what I can say is part of that engagement, though, is the community engaging back with the council. So yes, we want to try and get our message and our information out there to you as best we can. But we need to hear from you too. We need to hear what you need, what you want, what we're doing good, what we're not doing so good. So part of that engagement is you engaging back with the council. So I please encourage that. And we'll continue to work on this and to make sure we provide a satisfactory level of engagement to the communities that we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Recently, one of our projects was completed, and one of the successful people concerned on the committee came in to talk to me about it and thanked me for it and said what a great job we'd done, and it was really appreciated by the community. When I asked him had he written to council to say thank you, he looked at me with this quizzical look of, well, that's what I'm here for. And I appreciate the fact that he came to talk to me, but it would be nice if the records showed, rather than come to me, communities like that, the committee's concerned, if they wrote a letter saying thank you, we're very appreciative of the work that you've done for us, it makes us feel better. We can pass it through to all those members of staff that have been involved in it. So as a community, please come back to us when we do something right, as Councillor Ferrari says, not only when we're doing something wrong. Councillors, all those in favour? Thank you very much. 13.1.3, delegation update. Ms. Bramwell?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to review and adopt an updated instrument of appointment and authorisation in accordance with the Local Government Act. A change of officers in the role of Environmental Health Officer requires that the S11 instrument of appointment and authorisation be amended to include that appointment of Anthony Comas as an authorised officer. The new individual instrument has been created for this appointment, and council is now requested to consider and adopt this document. And the document was attached for council's information. And the officer's recommendation is that council, in the exercise of the powers conferred by the Local Government Act 2020 and other legislation referred to in the attached instrument of appointment and authorisation, adopts the instrument of appointment and authorisation for Anthony Comives, the new environmental health officer, allowing that officer to undertake the duties of an environmental health officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bramwell. Can I have a mover?
Happy to move, Mr
Moved
Chair.
councillor Vance, seconded councillor Keogh. Any discussion?
No, other than to say that this is purely a procedural matter that has to happen for council to operate correctly.
Thank you, councillor Vance. All those in favour? Carried. 13.1.4, frontline services offer and resource centre closures. Ms Bramwell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek council's endorsement for the frontline services team to attend team meetings 4 times a year in 2022. To undertake a full team meeting of the frontline services team, all the front counters have to be closed, otherwise we have to cover for them. And this is usually done for these meetings twice a year at present, and the offices tend to be closed between 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock. The reason for the office closure is to make sure that as many frontline staff as possible have the opportunity to contribute and attend these meetings. It is council's common practice to host staff meetings within teams to build rapport and create unified and cohesive teams where everyone can receive necessary information and have input into relevant matters. As I've already said, frontline services face unique problems in holding these team meetings due to the range of working locations and the need to maintain the ability for our community and visitors to attend open facilities. There are 2 projects underway this year that really closely impact the frontline services team, and we really need their active participation of volunteers from the teams. We are implementing the recommendations from the Frontline Services Review that was undertaken a couple of years ago, and there's the Customer First project to build customer service focus and capability throughout the organisation that we've discussed in recent times. So these projects will be led by myself and volunteers from the teams, and it's planned for these working groups to be finalised in late January. As the projects directly impact the full team, we would appreciate being able to hold team meetings more often during this calendar year to allow regular reporting back and allowing input from the team. So as I've said already, to facilitate that increased input, we would like to propose that team meetings take place 4 times during 2022 instead of the usual 2 that council has previously endorsed. If it is approved, then the use, where we possibly can, the use of online meetings will be explored with for the potential for 2 of the 2 extra team meetings to be virtual and therefore save on time, and with the intention to have a reduced closing time if possible, so the counters can be opened more early. If approved, a schedule of closure dates will be provided to council and the community. And its officers' recommendation, therefore, that council approves the closure of the reception area of the Beaufort Council offices, the Beaufort Resource Centre and the Avoca Information Centre 4 times during 2022 for a period of 4 times each time, with the areas opening at the latest at 1 p.m. each time, and that council officers provide a firm schedule of frontline services team meetings for 2022 within the next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bramwell. Can I have a mover? Councillor Clark, seconded councillor Ferrari. Councillor Clark.
Well, Mr Mayor, I think it's just most appropriate that our team do meet and work through issues when they get the chance. I certainly know other teams have more flexibility. Our frontline services team doesn't have that, and I think it's appropriate that we structure that in the context, and we'll obviously review it as it goes.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Ferrari?
Just reiterate what Councillor Clark has said, and that if we're conducting a review, it's important that we give everybody the opportunity to have some input. And that's exactly what this is doing. So it's everyone gets to have a say if they wish. So I welcome that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors? No, I agree wholeheartedly. I think any improvement, any additional training that we can do for our staff helps us provide a better service to our ratepayers, and I support the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Item 13.1.5, Library Outreach Program. I'm advised that this item has been requested to be removed from the agenda of tonight's meeting, but we will pass this one over. Move on to councillors' reports and general business. Starting with Councillor Ferrari.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I enjoyed a break over the Christmas and New Year period, and hope all did, and hope all our community did as well. We're sort of back into the grind now, and I think schools either started back or about to start back. So you know, that's going to be really interesting times again. I'd sort of previously mentioned I'd attended the Beaufort Primary School presentation and their grade 6 graduation, which was held up at the Goldfields Reserve, and it was really pleasing to not only see those grade 6s graduate, they're moving on and up with their life, but get to meet some of the teachers and some of those students and some parents. And, you know, I'm very pleased to report that we've got some very capable young people coming up through the ranks, and that's going to stand us in good stead for the future. And as I regularly say, you know, the kids are our future, so we need to look after them and give them the best opportunities, because hopefully there's a time when they'll be looking after us in some way, shape or form. We did do the Christmas lunch again this year, which is a carry on of the legacy left by Councillor Michael O'Connor, and we catered for around about 20 people this year. And I did thank him in the paper, but I'd like to thank a couple of the businesses, being the Beaufort Butchers, the IGA, the Food Pantry, and the Beaufort RSL for their donations, and certainly the little band of volunteers that come along, you know, tirelessly and effortlessly every year. And without those volunteers, it wouldn't happen. And of course, the people that turned up. So it's a really satisfying day, and to be able to provide to those people that are in their need at that time is quite pleasing and quite humbling. So I thank all those, and we'll continue that for as long as we possibly can. Now, I've had some discussions with the B4B president, Chris Johnson, and he's got some good ideas, and hopefully I'll be able to work with them a bit closer this year, because they've changed their meeting dates, which don't coincide with our briefing days. So I look forward to working with them and hoping to get to be able to do some more things in and around the town, and perhaps the municipality, with the support of those business groups. And probably lastly, just like to mention that I have had a number of discussions over the last few weeks from constituents in relation to the Beaufort swimming pool. And of course, that conversation has widened to the pools across your municipality. And I'd just like to thank those people for contacting me, and with their concerns, they are valid concerns, and to assure them and reassure them that we have had some discussions as recent as today, and we'll continue those discussions with a view to trying to improve the opening hours and the level of service right across your municipality. So, and I'm very pleased to say, without stealing Rob Vance's thunder, it looks like the Landsborough pool will be open as of tomorrow. So that's really pleasing. So work in progress. We'll continue to work hard behind the scenes to make sure we can provide the best service with the pools. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ferrari. Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I would like to wish everyone a very happy new year and looking forward to a very safe and prosperous one after quite a tumultuous 2 years preceding this one. I'd also like to say too, I was very fortunate to attend the Beaufort Primary School graduation as a parent, though this time for the second time for me. But again, every time I attend those types of events, or when I've been to Wodi Yallock as well down our area, and I know across the Shire, we are incredibly blessed with fantastic schools and brilliant teachers who again hold our students and have got our year sixes to graduation through 2 very tricky years for these kids in their senior years at primary school. So we thank them greatly. Also back in December, I was able to attend an MAV social media training day, and I can't say how valuable that was, and I'll definitely be encouraging anyone who hasn't had a chance to do that, especially as a councillor, to realise just how useful and how incredibly important social media is now in us being able to reach all of you residents and being able to communicate really well. We're looking at it already with our community engagement strategy, but we really wanted to become really strong in this area. So again, we can be the best advocates we possibly can be. That was awesome though. I also attended the mobile library van launch. And again, as a teacher, I cannot emphasize how important it is to be able to give that access to that sort of literature, which is above and beyond to what the kids can get at school. So it's promoting that real love, and for those young people in our Shire areas who have limited ability to get to libraries, this is just such a valuable asset. On the flip side as well, it's so important for every single person in our Shire areas of all ages to have access to that sort of material, not just books, but educational DVDs and that social aspect that we're able to reach out to people, and they can use that in lots of different ways. So we thank the staff who work tirelessly, and everyone that put together and worked together to able to access that funding for such a great valuable resource we have now. And those of you that haven't used it, do get online to find out when it is in your area, and because it does get all over the Shire, and it's a really good a valuable resource there for the whole community. I also attended the fabulous Sunday by the Lake event that was held on the 9th of this month. This was an incredibly wonderful event and show of the community coming together, not just to be able to bring community together in a COVID safe way, but for people who haven't been able to get together for so long, but also to celebrate some of our incredible local talent and also neighbouring areas talent. But it was just such a wonderful day of entertainment for the kids. We had hula hoops, and it was just such a great event, and in a beautifully constructed foreshore there. So again, anyone who's visiting Beaufort, make sure you include a visit to the fantastic lakeside that we have there now, which is again is a community asset for everyone to enjoy. And in this sort of weather we've been having, a beautiful spot to cool down on those hot days. The only other, I did want to pass a big thank you out to, there's been a number of people that have done so many wonderful things over the Christmas period, but I do want to shout out to the CFA members who do a wonderful a lolly drop with Santa, such as the local CFA does, and I know others around the Shire do that as well. It's that extra effort that they go to bring joy to the kids in our areas, and already they've been hardworking. On that note, we've already had some fires start in the area during this fire season, but our crews have gone on to them early and protected our communities. We're again so fortunate to have them, but I do urge everyone, please, as much as we can individually, be fire safe, be fire ready in case of an event such as that, and keep each other safe and have safe contacts ready, have your emergency plan in place, and again, we thank the CFA for all they do. So please be safe and be aware, but enjoy the rest of the holiday season.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly had a quiet Christmas, and I hope most people managed to have a quiet Christmas with family and that sense of things around here. It was a very, very pleasant little break. in that sense of things. As I said in the last councillor column that we did for last year, it's one of those strange ones where we thought earlier in November we were probably going into a really good next year after the 2 years we've had. We've gone into a year a bit of uncertainty, and we're living that right now at the moment. I think those same basic messages still apply to us all. Be careful and get yourself vaccinated. Those third shots are out there, so please go and get them as soon as you can in that sense of things. That'll be the best for all of us. Council, of course, isn't immune to some of the impacts of COVID, and Councillor Ferrari has already mentioned the pools, and that's one example in the context. If you're not sure in terms of a council service, I'd certainly urge you ring our office. There'll always be people on the phone. We might be a bit short on occasions at the front desk at different times, but certainly we're on the phone is probably the best way to contact us at this time. Like several of the other councillors, I had the privilege of attending my local grade 6 graduation at the Warburg School, and I'm very lucky having children there myself to have seen those children come right through from prep. In fact, actually seen them come right through from kinder in the sense, and it's just wonderful to see such articulate, confident young people. And I'm pretty assured that our future is in good hands when they get their hands on the levers in that sense of things. Of course, Mr. Mayor, next Wednesday is Australia Day, and all roads will lead to Warburg that day. So I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible. It's a big bit of dirt. There's plenty of room on the oval. The grass is lovely and green. Bring a picnic rug, and we can spread out and be very COVID safe and enjoy ourselves. And also not to forget, in February, the first of our councillor cuppas will be at Trawalla. Again, a really lovely little community spot in that sense. So please pencil in your diary that second Tuesday around 1 o'clock and come and catch up with your councillors and your senior officers. That's all from me. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Vance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like all other councillors, I enjoyed a pleasant Christmas with my family and my grandchildren, and nice, quiet, uneventful, really. We're all over 8 and all slept during the afternoon, which was good. I, like other councillors, had the privilege of presenting pens at Moonabel School, which it was a very pleasant occasion for me. 16 students at Moonabel this year, which was absolutely amazing. It's wonderful to see how the ebbs and flows in population of our schools. Certainly, time goes by and times change. I can recall about 28 students at school when I went through primary school in Landsborough. I think the Landsborough school might be down to about 7 students at the moment, so things ebb and flow, we know that. But anyway, a pleasant occasion to make the presentation to the ducks of the school. I also, last week, presided over the re-election or the new election of office bearers for the Moonabel Park Trust at their AGM. I congratulate the group that were elected, and I also offer my congratulations to them for picking up the reins after a little bit of a disturbance on their previous committee. But anyway, small communities survive on community backup, and well done to those people. They know who I'm talking about. Like Councillor Keogh, I attended the library van launch in Beaufort, and you certainly won't miss it if you see it on the road. It's painted up beautifully and advertises all the communities that have visited. Great to see places like Glenpatrick and Barclay and Redbank and Crowlands and numerous places that probably missed out in the past, but certainly will be serviced into the future. Certainly make use of this. Like other councillors, I've got to express my disappointment at the situation that arose with our swimming pools, but I am looking forward to the fact that Landsborough has promised to be open tomorrow and Thursday and again on Sunday. So the weather, I'm sure, will be ideal for swimming conditions, and if you you've been disappointed in the past, here's your chance to go and make up for a little disappointment. We as councillors have been negotiating with the firm that were appointed to run the pools, and it is with some regret, I believe, that rules and regulations that have been put in place by governments of the day now demand that there've got to be lifesavers available at all times. I guess that's the smart thing to do, but sometimes in small communities, it's very hard to fulfil those obligations. Anyway, we're working on it. So tomorrow's your chance if you're busting for a swim. And if you get through to next Wednesday without injuring yourself or anything, make sure, as Councillor Clark has said, come along to Warburg and enjoy the festivities on Australia Day and help us show recognition to some of our champions that live amongst us. That's mine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Vance. Now that you've all had a say, I'll copy some of them. I went to the Avoca School graduation, and yes, I agree, Councillor Clark. We'll be very lucky when these people take the levers. Maybe not that soon, but eventually. I think we can be proud of the children and we can be very proud of the teachers. We've got a good system running in our education system, and we provide very, very good up and coming leaders for our communities. I attended the launch of the library van, and yes, it looks a treat. It really does. And even on the inside, it looks good. So hopefully when it comes to your area, if you're utilising the service, please make use of it. It's there for your convenience. It's there for you to use. And basically had a quiet Christmas with family and friends. Had a couple of days off, which is always welcome. And I hope everybody, although we're 2 weeks into the year, have a wonderful new year. I hope our issues with COVID gradually creep behind us and we look forward to the future. It's no good looking over our shoulder all the time. We've got to look forward. We've got to find ways to get to live the lives that we want to live. Please look forward, never looking back. And Mr. Nolan, the comment by Councillor Clark about the next cuppa, are we arranging something different for that day in Snake Valley? I'm not sure if we're going to be at Truwalla that day, but it will be in the papers.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you for the question. We will publicise that in our notice board over the coming weeks. At the moment, we are considering an opportunity to meet with Snake Valley residents in respect of a planning matter, and we will look to work in a cuppa on that same day, but we'll look to publicise that in our notice board over the coming weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. And that brings us to the end of our meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a closed council item to be discussed. So the live streaming will cease very soon, and we will go into closed council. After the closed council has been discussed and decided, we will come back to the public and close the meeting. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Can I have a mover to move us into closed council?
Happy to move, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Vance, seconded Councillor Ferrari. All those in favour? Move. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. We'll now move into closed council.